All right, guys, welcome back from break. Today we're going to be talking about saving versus investing. Ooh.
Dun, dun, dun.
So I want to do first a disclaimer, and that is we are not financial advisors, and so do not take what we say for gospel.
Yes.
And so we're just merely pointing out a couple of things, again, starting the conversation, as well as just making you see a couple of different options. So the first thing I want to touch on is, what is saving first? Let's just start there. What exactly is saving, and why do people save?
Man, that's a crazy question. You know, you guys can't see this, but he's like looking directly at me. So he's like,
I'm giving him like the interviewer stare.
Oh, he's judging your soul right now. So
you should
be careful.
start at some point. Okay?
Yeah.
Don't screw up. But yeah, those of you who can see us, I'm in the BOGO seat today. So, yeah, take
Got
that,
him.
BOGO. Got replaced. No, but yeah. So as far as saving goes and things like that. So anytime, and we all know intuitively what saving is. It's taking money, hoarding it for a short amount of time in order to spend it at a later time. But in order for that to work out, we have to actually, our money still has to mean something, and we also have to have a plan to spend it on. Otherwise, it just kind of sits there and never actually does anything.
So what you're kind of suggesting is saving is really a short-term deal.
Oh yeah,
If you're going to a trip or something.
Exactly,
going on a vacation, I'm saving for that vacation, or I'm saving for, I don't know, some new shoes. Maybe.
If you gotta save for some shoes, you probably don't need them.
Well, hey, you know what?
'Cause some people.
All right, and
Yeah.
to defend that point,
Go ahead.
Allen Edmonds is a pretty good shoe.
Okay.
And not saying that you need to go out and get one, but I'm saying if you did buy a pair, it's $400, but it's a good shoe.
I mean, Suit Mart is like right down the street. You can find
Indeed.
You can save you about $50.
No Allen Edmonds, though.
Now your feet might hurt a little bit, but your wallet won't. That's the most important part.
Are we getting sponsored by those guys?
Not at all.
If
No, not at all.
then we should.
I meant
But if they were listening,
I meant Suit Plaza.
if
Sorry.
they're listening, though, this would be a great opportunity for you guys to make a partnership with her.
Yeah, like if you're looking at Devontae's hat right now, there's like an open side of it. You could like put your logo right there on his forehead.
Sure, I would wear a 32-button Steve Harvey suit right now if they put one on.
Oh man,
I don't know how I'll get out of it, but I'll get in it.
flyest man on. Anyway, we're not gonna talk about Steve Harvey.
Anyway, what is investing then? I gotta just kind of start that one off.
So in terms of investment is just utilizing any type of like instrument in order to grow your money. So savings just to hold it for a specific purpose, and investment is to grow for maybe a nondescript purpose at that point. So investment has kind of like a longer like time horizon, because kind of like intuitively what you're saving for, but you also, or you're trying to bide your time and grow your wealth. But generally speaking, investment is to grow your ability to spend
For a long-term
exactly for
future.
a longer period of time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So essentially spending or putting money to the side to make more money eventually.
Precisely, growing the base.
Ooh.
Growing the base.
Oh, I do want to actually point out, Kyle, we didn't introduce you during the show.
Oh,
We have 4 minutes.
I just slid right in. It's no big deal. I'm really nobody. Not yet. I'm gonna be one day, but no, I'm Kyle Lee. Devontae called me up kind of like on short notice.
Wow, it's throwing me under the bus.
He said Gerald, Bogo, Trong, all them guys wasn't gonna show up, and basically we needed a third.
So basically, I got put in the game today. I was on the bench unknowingly.
Yeah.
So now I'm in the game and I'm
Yeah, but
ready to
he's
play.
going to Jeremy Lin it. Like, he's going to come off the bench and then put up 30 points.
Oh Lord, that means a year later, no one will know where I am or what I'm doing.
For those of you who don't know, that's a sports joke.
Yeah.
So you're welcome.
So what are different, I guess, types of investing? Because most people, when they think of investing, they're thinking of stock market, right? Like that's essentially it.
Yeah, the stock market, it's the flashy one. It's the, dare I say it on this PG program, it's the sexy one. It's the one that everyone's just like, oh, I made $1 million the other day on the stock market. not make fun of people that like talk like that. It's just
Too late.
Yeah,
too late.
Yeah.
Too late. You could edit that out.
You just
right?
completely insulted Fred Flintstone.
The Fred Flintstones of the world. but in all seriousness, it's like, and there's a reason why it's one of the greatest, and it's one of the most noteworthy. It's because it's one of the easiest to get into. It's
also really cutthroat too.
Yes, it is very.
And you have to
cutthroat.
monitor it. I mean, it changes on a daily basis.
Oof.
1 minute you're up.
Hourly.
Yeah. On an hourly basis, correct?
That depends on your strategy. If you are an investor and you go in and you invest in like Walmart or something like that, you're not expecting to get your money back tomorrow. You're investing because you think Walmart's going to do really well at something, or you think they're going to grow over time. And that's part of what we were talking about earlier, how like, when you actually invest your money, you're trying to grow your base. You're not trying to, get it just to get dividends and then do something else with it, because in actually that's a quick crash course, and there are two different types of stocks. So if you're going to invest anything, two different types of stocks that you're going to hold for a long time, that are just going to like that are going to pay you dividends, or stocks that you're going to hold for a long time that are just going to grow. I don't talk about stocks that you're just going to trade tomorrow and stuff like that. The short-term game is not worth it.
Yeah, and that's an unfortunate part about that is when you go to different seminars about investing in money, especially seminars that tie all that stuff into real estate. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it's a really good example.
Yeah.
They utilize the short-term investing. It's like, oh, this is a quick way you can, make an extra $300 or so. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of nuance to it that a beginner's not going to be able to understand out the gate. So it's really a false hope in a way that they're giving people.
Exactly.
I think that's the demographic they go for, is people who don't really know better. People who are kind of blindly ready to put their money towards something so they think they can quickly get it back, not knowing that it's going to take months, if not years, to even build anything substantial. Mm-hmm. So they have a lot of people who are brokenhearted because the $500 they put in is still there. It's not $1 million like they said it would be. Mm-hmm. And now you're in a financial crisis yourself.
And now I need that money.
Yes.
Exactly. And that's actually a really good point. It's like, the money that you invest in like the stock market, you're not supposed to necessarily like put your light bill in there.
Oh God, no! That's supposed to be money you found in the couch.
Yeah, like
for rich
you don't
people.
Need that.
Yeah, it's like I don't need the $6,000.
Exactly. No, there's actually some relatively like cheap and like very affordable like stocks, and they do stock splits all the time that break stocks down even further. And yes, it kind of like dilutes the value of what you could have in a company, but it also allows accessibility to those who don't necessarily have $1,000 to throw into one stock that's not even going to grow that much.
Yeah.
Do you think that kind of contributes to some of the investment fear that people have? I guess obviously part of that is the lack of knowledge of and understanding of the landscape, but just I guess the perceived image of there being you have to have a lot of money to get anything out of it.
Oh yeah. There's definitely a perceived kind of like thought process. So when I was in school, I worked with, shameless plug, the Stephen F. Austin State University Mass Student Round Investment Table. So we won in an international contest.
By we, he means himself.
Myself, and then some,
yeah, but I
some
feel
guys.
I feel like I'm with them right now, so keep going.
Exactly. No, like I was on a team. And, I just came onto the team at the right time, and then boom, we did well. And that actually helped me get my job that I'm doing now. Believe it or not, AfroVibes doesn't necessarily pay the bills. But maybe one day. That's what we're shooting for. So please listen. Oh, God, please listen. No, but in all seriousness, though, we ended up, making some relatively unprecedented gains for the student portfolio. And it came down to knowing your investment and things like that. And not necessarily, just getting, because our investment platform wasn't built to, chase stocks. Oh, I'm going to chase that. I'm going to chase that. It was built on actually researching what we were actually investing in. And because we focused on, S&P 500, yada, yada, yada. You can look that up if you want to find out what that is. I'm messing. But I can explain it, in a comment section if someone really wants to know. But in for the terms of what I'm actually trying to get across is that you have to know what your game plan is. And our game plan was to grab stocks that were, relatively low valued and just hold them until they were valued much higher, until the value we believed it couldn't grow much more, and then we jumped off to another one.
That does kind of sound like a short-term strategy.
Yeah, see that's the thing. It's not necessarily it depends on what you call the short term. If you're 80 years old, 3 years, it's kind of a long time.
You don't have that much time to live.
Exactly. It's relative to how much time you have left.
Yeah.
And so if we bought a stock and it was making steady gains year after year, we kept it. If it was showing noticeable dips that didn't seem to support a long-term strategy, then we dropped it because we had a long-term strategy in mind. And the purpose of it, which was great, is that it was funding some of the scholarships that were actually on campus for the business school. Right. It was a great experience. Absolutely loved it. It was wonderful. Taught me a lot about investments and just how to watch the stock market and how to not obsess about the stock market.
I want to touch back on some of the points you made. Like the money that you use in investing is money that you don't necessarily need to live off of, right? Mm-hmm. Is there a stigma in terms of downsizing?
Oh man,
are you talking about not putting as much as you really want into an investment, or finding something that's cheaper?
Ooh.
Yeah, or maybe in a sense downsizing your living standard so that you have some extra money to use.
So kind of like the whole go without to have later type.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it depends on your lifestyle. It depends on your job, depends on your home. There's a lot of people out there who need their paycheck.
Yeah.
Every check they get, they need it. And then it goes to their bills, it goes to their groceries, it goes to their household. So maybe the $100 that they're putting aside each check might not be enough to do the type of investment they want. So they might have to go without cable. They might have to go without, going out to eat every now and then. So now that $500 may become $1,000, and now investing looks a little more interesting toward them now.
But why would I do that? Why would I do that? That doesn't sound fun.
Of course not. Being an adult is not fun. Being responsible is not fun.
That's the truth. Wow.
But I will say something that, coming from the film industry, investing is 90% of what you do. So if you look at actors, they invest in the way they look, they invest in their craft because they know down the road there will be a director or producer that will notice how good they are and will want to bring them on projects.
Let's talk about that, because there are different types of investments, and obviously the biggest one that we talked about earlier was the stock market, but what are other aspects of investing? Again, taking a class.
Yeah. So, for instance, musicians, they might start out with little rinky-dink materials and instruments, but as they perform, as they start to get more gigs and more notoriety, more money comes in. Mm-hmm. So those little rinky-dink instruments they have are now upgraded to better instruments. So now they can actually perform better, get big, notice more, and then go around, save their money, get a better instrument. It's like progression. So you may have to go without for a little bit and use something you really don't want to use, but it's really all about the skill in your craft and if you really want to do something. A lot of people don't invest in things that they want. They invest in what's popular. So they might not have their money in what they really have their heart in. But if it's something you want to do, something you see a future in, I think it's safe to make those sacrifices and invest in something that you feel
it's a risk.
It's a huge risk.
A good example is my video production experiences. I've invested a lot of money into cameras, lighting, equipment, things like that. And then eventually, after I did it long enough and pursued some different jobs in TV, I finally realized it wasn't really something I was truly passionate about. So yeah, I spent maybe almost $20,000 in the course of 3 years on equipment that I rarely use. But at the same time, that whole experience propelled me to something completely different. And if I did not have that experience, I probably wouldn't be doing the things I'm doing right now.
I feel like there was a cheaper experience.
I got to tell on Devontae right quick. Okay, so I knew Devontae back in college, all right? So when this man was supposed to be...
He digging up the grave right now.
Let me tell you how kind of dedicated this man was to his craft. When this man was supposed to be using his student loans to buy books and to feed himself, he was buying film equipment. Like, you would go to this man's room and he would have like no other earthly possessions besides like lamps and like cameras and stuff like that. And I'm like, Devontae, why do you need 12 cameras? Stuff like that. But then like I did some projects with him and he showed me, and I'm telling you, some of these projects were extra crisp. Like, and it just kind of showed you kind of where kind of like that sacrifice was. Like, Devontae, he's a skinny guy, but you know, he was about 20 pounds skinnier back in college. And he still does this thing where he doesn't like to eat sometimes when he got his dream on the line.
I like eating. Okay.
Hey, sometimes creative people will starve themselves just for no reason.
You had to like ask this guy if hey, Devontae, you been eating, man? Like, real talk.
Whatever, man.
You can't live on a dream alone.
Deferred gratification, guys. Deferred gratification. So let's talk about some things that would be the opposite of investing, and that would be depreciation.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's not really
the
fun.
bad things that we do that like immediately lose value as soon as we get them, like
Absolutely.
haircuts,
cars. Okay, now I will say one thing.
Okay.
You said haircuts. That kind of goes back to the whole investing in yourself type thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let's say you're a person who has to look a certain way to get certain places. A haircut might be a good investment.
So, Kyle, have you invested in yourself? Take off the hat, man.
Let's see what you got.
I was broke when I got here. I'll probably be broke when I leave.
Gonna be broke when I leave.
Yeah.
This is what it is.
But essentially, I understand what you're saying. There's things that we kind of spend money on needlessly just because we can or just because we're used to it. And that may be one of those investments you're speaking of.
And I agree. And like, it just comes down to like, no one's telling you not to like have something you like every once in a while.
Sure.
But you have to weigh it against your plan. What's your plan? It's like literally like if anybody's like listening out there, and you know we're told that people listen, but you know Devontae keeps telling me people are listening. They like people send me emails and they're contacting me and things like that. How they love the show, and I'm just kind of just like I ain't seeing no emails. Why don't you send me emails?
I can start forwarding to you.
Don't
if
you
want.
guys like me? Nah, but there was a general point there, but but in terms of like, I just ask anybody out in the AfroVibes audience, what's your plan? Straight up, like, what is your plan? Like, are you actually saving for your retirement right now? Are you actually planning for next year? Like, do you want to go on vacation? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Do you want a new car? Do you want to provide for your kids? Like, and I know the answer is yes on probably like all those things. But to get there...
Oh, actually the answer is yeah, but that's usually the answer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but like this is that and third. And that's the thing is it's like if you actually want something, you have to ask yourself what you're willing to give up to get it. And like take this for instance. I was thinking about this the other day. It's just like, as a kind of like a community, we love community. Like people love being around other people.
Yeah, we're social creatures. We're social creatures by nature, but if you ask people individually, they're like, yeah, I like me time.
I think we're social because we have the ability to be social. We can speak and we can hear and listen and react to other people. But I think there's nothing wrong with you being an introvert and still being.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Still being still progressing in the world.
I agree.
You don't need to be Steven.
Okay. I don't even know who that is, but no.
That's my name. This man came on my show. Don't even know my name.
I heard like 7 names a day.
Who's Gerald? Are you Bogo? You're sitting in the Bogo chair. You must be Bogo.
My bad, Steve.
No, but oh my goodness, we so easily just jump off topic.
But this is actually a great time to go to break, though.
Oh goodness. Bye.
When we come back, we're gonna finish. You guys are listening to AfroVibes Radio Houston.
We're giving you the best on AfroVibes Radio. We are 24/7, so don't change that dial. Just leave it on.
Looking to advertise your event or maybe your business? Contact Total Medulla at totalmedulla.com.
AfroVibes finally did it. They finally gave regular dudes a show to talk about whatever it is that we have on our minds. And so whether that be relationships or social norms, social issues, experimentations of just our society, myself, along with my friends, are here to talk about those subjects. So feel free to join me, Devontae Hill, on this crazy journey that we call Medulla Talk. Tune into AfroVibes Radio Houston for our episodes and follow us on all the social media sites. You know what they are. And we look forward to having you join our conversation. All right, guys, welcome back. We kind of got derailed a little bit, but
Slightly.
Yeah. But we're talking about plans, right? So kind of going back to your community aspect, I know before the show we were talking about how black people typically want to go out on their own or were forced to go out on their own. We mentioned a little bit of that in the last episode, right?
Exactly.
You had this really interesting idea about sharing resources. Can you kind of dive a little bit into that?
Exactly. So I think that we're community creatures. In essence, that's why we go to the barbershop. That's why we go to the blood place. You know which one I'm talking about. I know y'all out there. I've seen y'all at the blood place.
I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm afraid to find out what the blood place is, but go ahead.
You don't know what the blood place is?
Yeah, I'm waiting for an explanation.
That sounds like some vampire type stuff. Go ahead.
Bro, back in college and when I first moved to Houston with nothing but a knapsack and a dream,
You a hobo?
Essentially. That's a story for a different day. But yeah, I used to go to like this place and sell my plasma.
Blood bank.
Yeah.
I thought you were banging at first. I was nervous.
The plasma
you got on all blue, and I was like, "Where you going to the blood place for?"
That is true.
not that blood place.
Okay.
Actually, I haven't met a blood in a very long time. Like, you remember back in like school, you always like, met people that said they were bloods and stuff like that?
Yeah, they didn't stick around very long.
Yeah. I haven't met one in a very long time. I wonder where those guys are. Like, she do like a "Where Are They Now?" like story. But anyway,
be a short episode.
Different episode, different story.
But you went to the blood bank.
But yeah, at the blood place, you could get like $20-$30.
I love how he calls it the blood place.
I call it the blood place.
Like it's some like hole in the wall.
Okay, so they use a technique called plasmapheresis to separate the plasma from your blood in order to kind of like utilize from plasma from your blood. They put the blood back in you, but they take your plasma, so you feel all weak afterwards. But they essentially use it to test cancer treatments and to make medicines and things like that. But that's not the part you care about. You care about getting paid. They give you like $55, $45, $35, like for repeat visits, and and it's a great incentive to stay healthy and stuff like that. Take $20, $35 from there. Man, you can start buying little stocks here and there. Boom. Already building your little
blood stock.
You literally put your blood in your stocks.
Yes, man. Like, and honestly, I was using it to eat and to survive and, to not die.
Yeah.
That was nice. But in all seriousness, there's like different avenues like that in which you can like make money. You can pick up cans on the road. You can, actually, I'm from the country, and that's what everybody used to do that. People used to fight over cans at family reunions because you know what everybody was trying to do, take them off somewhere and get some little money off of it. But
when I was an electrician, electricians when they
hold up, what?
Oh yeah, I was an electrician for about 6 or 7 months until I saw a dude get fried, and I was like, well, I guess I get in the medical field because God knows I never want to be that dude to touch an exposed wire and have to lose your hands. But their wire, it's a long story, but the wire that they use, the copper wire, they would strip them and they would roll them up and they would go and sell them, and the prices would fluctuate up and down. So sometimes you might hold your wire for like 6 months until the price gets to the tip top, which is like $3 $3 a.
It's like a physical investment right there.
But yeah, but like it's little things like
it's a commodity.
So it's
here we go.
So like when he was talking about selling the blood, or how some people donate or sell other things, you know, they might go to pawn shops and pawn their possessions. Like if you find ways to kind of make extra money on the side that's not too demanding, that won't take you away from your primary job or even your secondary job, then there's nothing wrong with the person actually doing it. It's just you got to make that extra effort to go out and find the resources you need to make that extra money.
eBay. I lived off of eBay when I was unemployed.
Wow.
Yeah.
You just sold things?
Yeah, so I had stuff around the house, but I also would take flea market items.
He was flipping, yay. We know he was doing.
What? What did you say?
He was selling drugs. Went to his apartment one time. What's in all these boxes?
No, I thought he was going to the flea market buying stuff for like $1 and selling on eBay for like $3.
No. So I had stuff at the house, but I also went to markets, got stuff in bulk and sold it on eBay. And I was able to live off that. Now, I don't recommend that you make a career off that because...
I said Devontae, old hustle man over
there. I know,
hey,
right?
Dude.
That's
show
dope.
that trench coat, popping open all his items.
It is what it is, homie.
Devontae, you're not wearing any clothes. Oh.
Yeah. I had to sell those. But I do want to touch on this. So let's take that person who doesn't really have too much, right? Maybe they have $20 a month that they can put aside, right? What would be some really good practical things that person could do today to invest? And it doesn't necessarily have to be exclusive to stock market. It could be any kind of thing. But what are some practical steps they could take to get started?
First things first, decide what your goal is. And find out what your financial situation actually is. Like, I'm not talking about, I make like, $750 here and then like, $650 there. No, you need to know your entire financial situation. You need to take a realistic, conservative view of it and, go from there. If you're on public assistance, know what your maximums are to stay on public assistance and see and do a risk reward kind of like thing at that point. Because when it comes down to it, and I think that a lot of people are dealing with this, they don't like to upset the status quo which they're living in. Like, whenever we get money or anything like that, our lifestyles kind of like balloon into our funds, because we're like, I can afford that. I can afford that magazine. I could get YouTube Red. Hey man, if y'all don't have YouTube Red, check it out.
Another sponsor.
Now since we're at it, shout outs to Netflix, shout outs to Amazon Prime, shout outs to
Hey, Whole Foods, I heard you got some liquidity, man. I heard you got bought up. I mean, y'all could probably invest.
Like, how many original Timmy Chans are there now? You have them.
Oh man. Timmy Chans.
But in all seriousness, the whole point of assessing your financial situation, this means to find your assets, your liabilities. That means, and your kids can fit in either category.
Ooh. Question. Is a house an asset or a liability?
Oh my goodness. So Devontae and I were talking about this earlier today. And Devontae, can you tell us why you didn't think that was a asset, or why you?
Okay, so it depends. So for me,
I have to ask do you live in a house?
Do I live in a house?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so for me, I look at it like this. An asset is something that has money earning potential, right? Now, if you bought a house that you can see in the far future being possibly a really rich neighborhood, I would view that house as an asset, because even though it might not be like buying a house in Third Ward. Like, yeah, Third Ward currently probably isn't that great, but give it a couple of years. I mean, gentrification's already happening in the area.
Oh, God, there's a Starbucks on every corner.
Right, so eventually that's going to be a high dollar spot. So that house could definitely earn you money in the future, right? And possibly near future, probably in the next 5 years, right?
Especially if someone will pay you to tear it down.
Yeah.
But if put that Chipotle right here, if you don't mind.
The neighborhood. There's no zoning in Houston, so they can actually put a Chipotle in.
They get Chipotle right in the middle of Fifth Ward if they wanted to. It'd just be Chipotle.
But in all seriousness, it's like if you don't have like a lot of money or anything or room to maneuver, you have to get creative. You have to. Because if you don't, nothing will ever change. You will constantly just be living, just living until you eventually get to the point where your body cannot work or live, or really just like live, and you're just kind of like a ward of the state living miserably. Mm-hmm. And we live in a country where, we can't afford that. Not all of us, to not be able to plan for our futures and stuff like that. Besides, who wants to live in a world where like the government just tells you what to do every day for like, your golden years? Like your golden years are supposed to be your reward for having worked so hard and put the country on your backs.
Now it's time for everybody to take care of me.
I have the freedom now to go to those places I wanted to go to when I was younger, or to get discounts on coffee.
Exactly. Which probably won't exist then.
I can't wait to get that Life Alert necklace.
Exactly. Got that bling, that Life Alert bling.
I can't wait to be that old man who like hits on young girls, but it's okay because he's an old man.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're so cute.
Just tell him about the war you fought in.
Yeah.
Any war, doesn't matter.
There wasn't no war. No, but in all seriousness, it's like creative ideas. So Devontae and I were talking about a really creative idea, and people in the AfroVibes audience can tell me what they think about it. But why do you live by yourself? If you're single or you're struggling with bills on any level,
living paycheck to paycheck,
if you cannot find out, can't find extra money somewhere, then why do you live by yourself if you ever want your life to change? And I would think that some people are actually, and what you're actually paying for is a premium for privacy. When in essence, you could probably be paying half as much if you just live with somebody. Like, broke people know other broke people.
Yeah.
Like, misery loves company, stuff like that.
You don't have a choice. Y'all are all
you're all kind of like
the same crumbs.
in the same place. You're like bartering crumbs and stuff but like not in like a condescending way, but
no, of course.
If you have no money, and this is talking about anyone from like a millennial or somebody freshly in the workforce all the way into like you're 80 years old. If you have no capability of living by yourself, why are you doing it? Is it a stigma? Is it desire that you think that you can't have some privacy to live alone? It's like I genuinely think that if some of us take a step back and kind of like downscale our lifestyle and make certain compromises, we can change our futures for the better.
We have working capital.
Exactly. Now I know that that interferes with some people's public assistance and stuff like that. So, I'll bring in this scenario. So there was a guy I met who has a store next to the store that I operate, and he's Ethiopian. And he said that when he first got here to Houston, he came here with a couple of his cousins, and they all shared one apartment. It was a one-room apartment. They paid like $800 a month for it, but it was four of them sharing a one-room apartment. Mm-hmm. And so each of them each month would give a portion of their paychecks to one of the members of that apartment. Eventually, he was able to have a big nest egg, and he bought himself a house. And then once he got that house, he moved his family over. And then while that guy was messing with, getting his house together, he got a promotion at job, he was able to funnel money back into the apartment folks. And then they funneled their money to a different person. And then after that person was able to get a nest egg, he moved into a house. And then everybody who was in houses was still funneling money to the apartment folks. And then there was only two of them left. Mm-hmm. And eventually, everybody was able to get a house. But that took an initial sacrifice. Exactly.
Of privacy. I imagine, it would be a little rough sometimes, having four people in one bedroom apartment. But, in a short span of maybe 3 years or so, everybody has their own place. In addition to that, everybody had the opportunity to bring their families over.
True.
Now, do black people have the capability of doing that? By black people, I mean African Americans originally from America.
Do we have the ability to make that sacrifice to, either stay with our parents a little longer or find roommates? I believe we do, especially nowadays. I think people are more open to the idea of putting their money together besides separating it and kind of having a smaller amount. because I got married at a very early age. I got married when I was 21. So I had my own apartment. My wife moved in. She had her car. So now we have an apartment and a car. And now my rent is basically slashed in half because I got a person helping me pay it. So not to use marriage as the solution, but I'm saying the idea of people.
It's almost as if our society's designed for people to pair together for life.
Yeah, but I mean, just the idea of, hey, you got this, I have that. Let's put it together and let's figure out where we use it to where we can get more of what, I now can get my car, and now you can get this, now we can get that, because we're not spending as much money. We're using each other's resources to achieve a goal.
Exactly. But you know why marriage or like one of those situations that you described before actually works? It's trust. And we've talked about this before.
We did.
And
we have trust issues.
And
like
I'll be real with you. That's not an excuse. Because there's ways around trust. If you don't trust somebody, what do? Make a contract. If you set up a contract in that type of living situation, you not only, and I'm not talking about just the leasing contract, I'm talking about a contract where you both do things a certain way.
Like, you set expectations.
Exactly.
I expect you to do this. I'm going to do this.
Have a real talk about money and be real, because and the best way to get somebody to sign a contract is to show them how this benefits them, and you show them how this benefits you. And then if you're both open about it from the beginning, oh my goodness, it just blossoms. That's why companies even work together. Do you think companies trust each other? Do you think the people that run companies, like someone that worked their entire life to get a company off the ground, trust somebody else? Like, no, they're the competition. But the reason why joint ventures and projects work is because there's a contract protecting both parties involved. That if one person doesn't fulfill their end of the argument, what do? They go from there, and they go from there. And you can go to LegalZoom and get contracts, or you can like tweak a contract. You do not have to be a lawyer to get a contract together.
That is very true.
While I do suggest maybe not necessarily a lawyer, but go into like a paralegal or something like that, and or a law student. And try to get some help on some verbiage.
Just get some an extra eye on it.
Exactly. Like, there are so many like flexible avenues that you could be using right now to change your situation. And it just comes down to, are you going to get sick of your current situation and make a plan? Like, you have to have foresight. You know where you are right now, and you know where you're going, and then you decide from there if that's a picture that you like. And then you go, how do you want that picture to be different? And then from there, you make your decisions. You just make your decisions.
Yeah. And taking all the different aspects of investing, either through investing in self, or investing in a business, or investing in stock, or investing in property.
Exactly. Oh yeah.
Property.
Have you been to one of those conferences that are like, you can invest using other people's money, this, that, and the third, and stuff like that? I'll be real with you.
Uh-oh.
That
you weren't here before.
I'm about to say, so this whole time it's been fake.
Yeah. Like, I'm gonna be real now. Before I was just bullshitting.
I was just making stuff up on the fly. This, those things are not 100% a scam.
You don't say.
There is a way to make money that way. However, if you want to try it and you want to get involved and you want to learn that type of thing, try it and learn it. And just like with any type of personal investment, always look for what you can get out of it, even if it doesn't work out. Like, you could treat it as a learning experience. And obviously, the more time you have and the earlier you start, the more mistakes you can make. But a lot of that can be mitigated by just trying something, like actually giving it a try. And I'm not saying like go out and do those things, but if you don't try anything, if you don't try to maybe change your job, or you don't try to learn a new language for work so you can try to get a promotion. If you don't try to better yourself, you literally will never change for the better. It takes some level of commitment to yourself.
Yeah.
And you owe that to yourself. Each and every one of you owe to myself, and I constantly fight with it every day.
Yeah.
Self-improvement is a very important thing that a lot of people don't take into account.
Yeah.
That the things that you do to yourself for yourself can have a lasting effect on yourself and those around you, the job that you have, the lifestyle you live. That if you don't apply yourself, or if you don't focus on what exactly you want to do and how you can do it, you're going to be stuck in the same rut. I mean, that's why, no disrespect to some people, but they'll have the same job for 20, 30 years and not even know if they got retirement saved up, not even know if there was a promotion available for them. They're complacent with where they are because they don't really have the foresight to see past where they are.
Exactly.
And, that's something that I think you have to discover for yourself. You can't really teach a person to have a goal. You can tell them that you have to figure out something now. That's why our culture is so, I don't want to say our culture, but I can definitely say like our generation is kind of like pressured into growing up so fast. We have so many programs and classes that teach people things that are kind of above their grade, above their age, because everyone has plans that as soon as you turn 18, you're a man now, you're a woman now.
And that's definitely not the case.
It's not, because there are some childish 30, 40-year-olds right now that never got a chance to properly grow up or they never got a chance to have a real childhood or a real youth, because life has pushed them into adulthood so fast to where saving money doesn't seem sexy or fancy because, I got this money, sometimes we have this like itch that like when we have a couple dollars extra from working overtime, that's our PlayStation money, or that's our food money, or that's our DVD money. And instead of us saving it, we go for the now stuff instead of the later stuff. And again, I think that's something that you have to discover yourself. When you realize there's a career path you want, or if there's a house you want, or if there's a car you want, your best interest is to try to save, put something aside to get that thing you need. Because once you get that job, well, now you can Uber, you can make some extra money, or you can start traveling more, find another job somewhere further away that makes more money. There's little things like that. It has to be understood by that person and not necessarily taught.
Right. I will tell you one thing, though. Not everybody's going to be a manager. Not everybody is going to. There will be some people that, they will spend their lives working like $7, $8 an hour jobs for their whole life. They may not get a good enough raise or anything like that if they don't stick with somebody.
And promotions are not necessarily something you can control.
Exactly. And if you think that that's the only way to be successful, you're lying to yourself. You can do this. You just have to make decisions based on your current situation. And the only way to do that is to be honest about your current situation and go from there. That's the only way.
Yeah, I appreciate that, guys. You guys have some really good closing statements.
Wait. Tax returns. Use your tax return money to invest. Do it. You can fly. Also, he's trying to close us out. All right. So, additionally, you can, if you are on public assistance, you can still invest in the stock market. Just letting you know, there's just a limit in certain states because it varies by state, whether you can have over $2,000 to $3,000 worth of assets. And if you have $2,000 to $3,000 worth of assets, then you can start moving on to the next step beyond public assistance. But anyway, just letting you know. I wanted to make sure I add that in before he cuts us off. You can do it.
You thought he had a gun to his head when he was reading that. Like he's listening off a list of demands or something.
I just want them to do well. You can try Trade King or Acorns. Acorns is this wonderful app that I used that helped me save like $200 in a year, and it's just based on like the purchases you make. It rounds it up to $1 and then takes the change and essentially invests it for you in like securities and stuff like that. You can also pull it out at any time. It takes 7 to 10 business days to pull out, and essentially it's just small amounts of money that you can take off. After a year, 2 years, $200, you can take that $200 and actually invest it in something. You can do something with it. There are things you can do. There's a million little apps, a million little types of things that you can do. You just have to be willing to read. Anyway, bye.
Yeah, and to add to that, there are certain features in certain banks that allow you to take money, round it up, and then actually dump it into a savings account.
Like roundups. It's wonderful. Just just do something.
I appreciate both of you guys being here, Stephen, Kyle.
Thank you for having me.
If you guys have any questions or whatsoever, please contact me or the gentleman next to me. Again, my Instagram is Devo Primo. And also you can send me emails. Again, send the emails to the Medulla Talk page tab, not the initial website info page, because I don't get those. So anyway, that'll be it for today's episode. We'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
I love you.